The Chris Watts case sent shockwaves throughout the nation. It was a horrifying reminder that darkness can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly perfect lives. Chris Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, became the embodiment of evil. He was a devoted husband and father. At least, that's what the world believed. Behind the facade of a happy family, a sinister secret festered. Chris and Shanann Watts, along with their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, appeared to be living the American dream. They resided in a comfortable home in Frederick, Colorado. Pictures on social media showcased their smiling faces and seemingly idyllic life. But this picture of happiness was a carefully constructed illusion. Beneath the surface, their marriage was crumbling. Chris was engaged in a torrid affair. He was desperately seeking a way out of his current life. His desire for a fresh start would have devastating consequences. It would lead to a horrific act of violence that would shatter the lives of two families and shock the nation. The events of August 2018 continue to haunt the community of Frederick. They serve as a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving. They also highlight the importance of addressing domestic violence. The case raised questions about the nature of evil and the dark potential that can reside within seemingly ordinary individuals. Chris and Shanann's marriage was a far cry from the picture-perfect image they presented to the world. Financial strain cast a shadow over their lives. Unresolved conflicts simmered beneath the surface. Chris, feeling trapped and suffocated, sought solace in the arms of another woman. His mistress, Nicole Kessinger, was a co-worker. She represented an escape from the complexities of his marriage. Chris confided in her about his marital problems. He painted a picture of himself as a victim. He claimed he was longing for freedom and a new beginning. The affair was more than just a physical relationship. It was an emotional lifeline for Chris. He reveled in the attention and affirmation he received from Kessinger. He began to fantasize about a future with her, a future free from the burdens of his current life. As his feelings for Kessinger intensified, his detachment from Shanann and his daughters grew. He became increasingly distant and cold. He withdrew emotionally from his family. His focus shifted to creating a new life for himself. He was blinded to the devastation that his actions would ultimately cause. August 13, 2018, dawned like any other summer day in Frederick, Colorado. The sun shone brightly, children played in the streets, but for the Watts family, this day would mark a descent into unimaginable darkness. In the early hours of the morning after Shanann returned from a business trip, Chris Watts committed an unspeakable act. He strangled his pregnant wife to death in their bed. The details of the murder, too gruesome to recount here, sent chills down the spines of even the most seasoned investigators. After taking the life of his wife, Watts turned his attention to his innocent daughters. Bella, 4 years old, and Celeste, 3, were asleep peacefully in their beds. Watts suffocated them both. He acted with a chilling calmness that defied comprehension. With the bodies of his family lying lifeless in the house, Watts embarked on a cold and calculated attempt to cover up his crimes. He loaded the bodies of his wife and daughters into his truck. He transported their remains to a remote oil work site. There, he disposed of their bodies in a manner that reflected his utter disregard for human life. Section 4. A web of lies unravels, the investigation and confession. In the hours following the murders, Chris Watts played the role of the concerned husband and father. He reported his family missing. He made televised pleas for their safe return. His demeanor was convincing. He fooled those around him into believing his fabricated story. However, the facade of innocence did not last long. As investigators delved into the case, inconsistencies in Watts's account emerged. His composure began to crack under the pressure of intense scrutiny. The evidence against him mounted. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Watts finally confessed to his crimes. His confession, however, was riddled with self-serving lies. He initially claimed that Shanann had killed their daughters. He said that he had murdered her in a fit of rage after witnessing the horrific act. Watts's attempts to deflect blame onto his deceased wife were unsuccessful. Investigators saw through his fabrications. They were determined to uncover the truth. Through meticulous investigation and relentless interrogation, they pieced together the true sequence of events. Section 5. Justice served, the trial and sentencing of Chris Watts. The trial of Chris Watts was a media spectacle. The courtroom was packed with journalists, legal experts, and members of the public, all eager to witness the proceedings. The prosecution presented a compelling case. They outlined the meticulously planned nature of Watts's crimes. The defense team, faced with an overwhelming amount of evidence, focused on mitigating Watts's sentence. They argued that he had confessed to his crimes. They said that he had cooperated with the investigation. They pleaded for leniency. The jury, however, was unswayed. After deliberating for less than a day, they found Chris Watts guilty on all counts. The judge, citing the heinous nature of the crimes, sentenced Watts to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentence brought a sense of closure to the families of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. However, it could never truly compensate for their loss. The case left an indelible mark on the community of Frederick. It served as a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil that exists within seemingly ordinary individuals.